Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monetary Mentor podcast. That was close. One of these days, I'm going to get it. Hello, I'm Sam, Monetary Mentor. With me, as always, is my brother, JP. Say hello to the good people, JP.
Hello, good people. It's nice to be here.
So, the cadence we've kind of fallen into with these podcasts is to do one when a set has been fully previewed. We talk about what we're excited about, and then to do one when the set's been out for 3 weeks, a month or so, and kind of give our impressions of how the set actually went. So, even though we don't necessarily approach it like blow a bunch of smoke and then come back and see how right or wrong we were about it, that's kind of the pattern we fall into. So this is our let's see how Murders at Markov Manor actually landed episode. Um, so I think we need to address a couple elephants in the room. One, I'm getting over a cold because I have young children, so if I cough, I am sorry. It's just how these things go. Two, I think we are both on record for saying that Vein Ripper stunk and was never going to be anything but an EDH card, and that Leyline of the Guildpact was overhyped and could also never amount to anything because it didn't do anything. I think we
I
need to own that we might have missed on both of those points,
I
potentially.
have a rebuff on both sides, both cards, and I'll say we'll get to them when we get to them. But I don't think we were totally off. I don't think we were totally off.
I mean, I think it kind of makes sense to start there because they're the
Sure,
biggest
sure,
stories
yeah.
in the larger context of the set. I think Vein Ripper has taken over Pioneer in vampire decks, being cheated into play on turn 3 with Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord. And Leyline of the Guildpact is running amok in Modern paired with Scion of Draco.
Mhm.
Because it turns all your permanents all the colors, so they all get all the abilities from that guy, as it helps you cast the dude for 2 mana, which is pretty good, being fit into a lot of shells. So both of them have been pretty strong, but you want to double down and convince the listeners that it's
I
all an
I will
illusion.
say that our appraisal, the reasons that we said what we did, were well founded, and they still stand up. That's basically what I'm gonna say. We can start with Vein Ripper, which is the 6 mana vampire assassin. Uh, in all black, flying, ward, sacrifice a creature, creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life, 6/5. My big issue with this was that it's not as good as the 7 mana stuff that you're gonna cheat into play, and it's too high on the curve for creatures to be playing a chip away kind of like creature value pile. And I think that what we're really seeing here is the Sorin Planeswalker finally get its payoff from when it was previewed, 3 or 4 years ago, and people were thinking it's absolutely busted. I think cheating this into play on turn 3 for 3 mana instead of turn 5 for 5 mana is what we didn't see coming, and that's the little avenue that's being kind of exploited in that deck. And if Sorin didn't exist, you would not be running Vein Ripper.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think this card has taught me a lot of lessons, which I think are interesting
Mhm.
to think about and reflect on. The first one is that Vein Ripper is not broken, Sorin is broken, and it's kind of a
Yeah,
card that's enabled by a previous broken card. But I will point out that there have been really strong vampires printed in the past that didn't break Sorin. Thinking about Lord Xander and Mavrin and Galta. The key
yeah,
difference is that Vein Ripper is very castable in a mid-range deck as a top-end threat as well, which is one of the things I liked about Queen's Bay Paladin as a Sorin card. It's great to cheat in early, and it's great to just cast at the top of your curve. Vein Ripper, I think, gets a bit of a bonus because another lesson that I think we can take away from this card when we think about card evaluation is that Ward, not a mana cost, is really strong. Like, if there are specific
yeah.
conditions, ward sacrifice a creature, like, yeah, whatever, you just sacrifice a creature. But, like, what if you don't have a creature in your deck? What if you're playing a control deck? Or what if you have a
But if
couple
you like your
creatures,
creatures, yeah,
but
what if it's a
yeah,
nice creature?
what if you don't want to sacrifice a creature because it's a key part of your plan? Or what if you would have
Yeah,
had creatures, but they fatal pushed them earlier? To
exactly.
kind of clear the way for this. So, ward abilities that require like a steep cost should never be underestimated. And that's something
Yeah,
I'm going to
I
hold on to going forward. The other thing is just there's been a trend with like commander cards. Because I don't doubt for this is a card that was designed for commander. You can't convince me otherwise. But there's kind of at this point a long history of cards that were designed for commander that have had big impacts on constructed formats. I'm thinking about obviously this one, but like Nexus of Fate, Kenrith from Wilds of Eldraine. There are, if you just go back through history, there are a bunch of them. And it's one of those things where essentially every card is designed for Commander. So it's not like they're all broken, but if you think about what Commander needs as a format, is it needs really powerful stuff. Like for a card to be good in Commander, it has to do something extremely powerful.
it's got to
You
go over the top.
exactly, and usually that is balanced by some kind of exorbitant mana cost. However, if there's a way to get around that or cheat it into play or mitigate that, like you think about Nexus of Fate, that was a big splashy commander type card, but it was paired with Wilderness Reclamation, which was a way to cheat on mana. Or you have Vein Ripper that's enabled by Sorin. So because they're designing for a format with fundamentally different rules, you have two additional players, 200% of the players that you have to take out to win the game, and they all have twice as much life. So instead of doing 20 damage to win the game, you're doing 120 damage. The power of those cards has to scale to fit in that game. So when they design cards to be good in that environment and they're accessible somehow in a constructed format, they are always going to be unbelievably powerful.
Yeah.
So it's just a good
No, it's
reminder
yeah, yeah,
on
definitely.
power scaling. Did you have pushback on Leyline of the Guildpact as well?
Yeah, I think what I said is it's jank, and I still believe it's jank. I don't play Modern. I don't think it's a tier one deck in Modern. Is it a tier deck one?
Yeah,
Tier
so
one deck in
yeah,
Modern?
we should probably just say that
Would you
neither of us
consider
are
it?
big modern players right now.
Yeah.
But Leyline of the Guildpact is being paired with Leyline Binding and Sign of Draco in Domain Zoo decks that are very good right now,
Okay.
and also four color Rhino decks that are very good right now.
Okay.
And maybe
I
other places in the future. It is showing up in very popular strategies that are very powerful.
yeah. So if we're gonna go on like very long term like lessons learned, I think what I'm kind of coming to terms, like this may be something that a million other people have realized before this, but like the longer that a format sticks around, the more of these broken interactions just naturally form. With Vein Ripper interacting with Sorin, that's probably not something that they were play testing or thinking about when they said, "Ooh, and he's going to be a vampire." Oh yeah, cool, he's going to be a vampire, right? Because they weren't when they designed Sorin, he was in the vampire set, and they probably kept an eye on all the vampires. But now that we're in a longer format that's not as strictly regulated, there's not going to be any holdbacks. There's probably going to be another vampire that comes out in, you know, the next 10 years because people love their vampires. That's also going to have a very similar effect with Soren, and then they're going to say, "Oh shoot, maybe Soren's a problem." And I think that Leyline of the Guildpact is a do nothing card that's jank, and if there's enough, history, enough cards that it can interact with, then it becomes good. So there's like a pros and cons to that. I tend to like I don't like the stuff that's broken. I don't like the Leyline of the Guildpact interacting that way. I don't like turn three, drop a Planeswalker, drop a six drop at the same time. To me, that's not exactly right. We see that interesting things with standard have been happening where people are starting to brew, people are starting to find hidden, technology and interactions. There's like a Teamer and Gruul World Souls Rage combo deck going on right now
Mm-hmm.
with the Capenna lands that, it's those lands would have been cycled out last year, but because they weren't, now we have more tools that can have these interactions and we can get these decks, which I think the World Souls Rage deck is good and it's fun and it's fine. but like the more cards you put into it, the more likely you are to have, just, you know, things that you could say break the game or operate in the way that the designers are not intending. Um, you get really fast clocks because Vein Ripper has been a non issue whatsoever in standard. I don't think I've seen it more than once in just some sort of like random, Rakdos jank pile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. And yeah, kind of an obvious but powerful truth of
Yeah.
formats that the more cards they have, the weirder these interactions get. And yeah, maybe it's time to talk about where standard is right now.
Sure.
I'm a known Slogurk lover, so I've been really interested in some of the Capenna Land Aftermath Analyst loop type decks that have been
Yeah,
coming up.
yeah. I missed Aftermath Analyst in the previews. I absolutely would have popped off on it, but I just somehow didn't see the card. It's exactly what we were talking about in our previous one about, rebouncing all the Capenna lands and um with Nissa and
Yeah, but people
yep.
smarter than us didn't miss it, so the deck exists. And you were excited for World Souls Rage because you've just previously been on like landfall and land shenanigans as a
Well, it was
concept
it
in
was the same.
standard.
It was a very similar deck where you're just like dropping multiple lands into your graveyard and you're just filling up your graveyard with the Capenna lands. And then look at that, and then you can, people have started playing the Green Virtue alongside it to get just one shots. And I was like, so I'm a free to play player, and I was very excited for World Souls Rage. I have not opened a single one in a pack, despite trying. I opened four Reenact the Crimes, four Ill-Timed Explosions, four Audiences with Tristani, and zero World Souls Rage. So, it's just how it goes sometimes. And as soon as I get two, then I'll craft the other two and, start brewing around with it. But people are just a little ahead of me. I feel like if I'd started right away, I would have gotten there first. But just dropping that, hitting the virtue, just one-shotting someone for the win.
Oh yeah, hey,
Very satisfying.
I'm willing to give you that. I have no doubts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Just thinking about other things, looking at the prices listed now versus when we did the preview episode.
Yeah.
I don't think we were that far off on a lot of things. I would highlight Cryptic Coat as a card that we kind of
Yeah,
called
yeah.
out as being pretty powerful, and then it shot up to several, like almost $10, and then that was an aspiring spike, a content creator boost that now it's down to 350 a copy or whatever, but that's still more than it was. Because I do think it's a legitimately powerful card. I've had a lot of fun playing that one actually. Um, War Leader's Call is now a $10 card, which isn't wholly surprising, but also is somewhat surprising.
It's
Um,
pretty surprising. I think it's going to come down. I do.
well,
I've
didn't
seen a
think it
lot
was
of
going to get there
lists.
in the first place, so.
Yeah, a lot of lists have been actually dropping War Leader's Call in favor of Case of the Gateway Express, um, and running your Thalias at two because the deck struggles with board wipes primarily. So getting a Thalia down at two and not putting your War Leader's Call at four has become very like in the trend as the deck's played right now.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of board wipes, I do want to
mhm.
highlight Ill-Timed Explosion
Yeah,
as a card. I think we were high on, and I think
yeah,
I'm going to play this card for the next 10 years of my life, is what it feels like in like Pioneer. Because I am an avowed
mhm.
Izzet lover, and this card is just a 4 mana board wipe that either draws you two cards and discards two cards. So it's card selection and graveyard
Yeah,
action, or it's in a dead matchup where you don't need a board wipe. It's a draw two cards. Um,
yeah,
so it's just sweet, and I love playing Izzet decks. So
yep,
I'm
yep,
gonna
yep.
be an ill-timed explosion truther forever. Whether or not it's like what should be played, I just think the card's really, really nice. So I've been pleased with that one. Do you have any other cards? Because we talked about Case of the Gateway Express. We did highlight that as a very playable card.
Yeah.
It has proved to be so. Anything else from kind of our list that stands out as something that we feel we liked a lot and we still like a lot.
Um, I really like Aurelia the Law Above in a Boros Angels deck. I've been brewing it back and forth, trying to get like the right combination because it is like it's not just stick every Boros Angel into the list. If you start shoving all your Boros Angels into a list and playing it on ladder, you will find that it is not very good at all. But we were down. We were really down on the Aurelius Vindicator.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think it's pretty good, especially when you're playing it. You can go turn two, Giada, turn three, Aurelius Vindicator as a 5/3 lifelinker with Ward 2. Swing in on turn four, drop your Resplendent Angel, and profit from there. So it's like a really, nice curve that helps you get your angels cooking. I mean, Giada is really the all-star of that deck, so it's only going to be around as long as she's around.
Yeah.
But being able to curve into Aurelia and whenever a player attacks with five or more creatures, a part that we kind of glossed over for Aurelia, and we're like, haha, that'll never happen. Well, players tend to attack you with five or more creatures a lot, especially the Boros Convoke deck. I think Boros Convoke was like the big winner of this standard. I think it was like a fringe tier one deck before, and I think it became the best deck in the format. Um, like instantly, it was all anyone was playing, and every single deck is metagaming against it. It's kind of like mono red, but you have to actually put answers more than just spot removal in your deck to deal with it. So I think that Boros Convoke really kind of drove the meta, especially in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I
Boros
think
Angels, I'm all about it.
so. I have heard rumblings of Boris Angels as a popular deck, whether
Hmm.
because it's generically powerful or content creator influence, who knows? But it seems to be doing well. I can tell you, I played some limited in paper recently,
Okay,
and I think two of the players in the pod had Aurelia in their decks, and that was a beating.
I don't, I don't know how you beat that in limited.
No, you. Well, I can tell you, you don't. No, you don't even
Yeah,
get
you
close.
have yeah, you have spot removal, or you go next.
Yeah, you have spot removal on the spot, or you go next.
Yeah.
Um, Something we did highlight, and by we I mean I'll own this, and I do want to say on the Boris Angels front that Giada wouldn't be in standard as it was intended to be designed. So
Exactly.
I don't want to sound
Exactly.
like a broken record, but it's so interesting. Like they do allegedly plan standards out, and so we're just living in this very unique environment that will go away soon because they'll have caught up to themselves and they'll know that they have a 3 year standard to deal with eventually. But for this couple of years, it's going to be this like ripple effect of unintended consequences throughout, which should be pretty cool, although things might break. But speaking of Boris, I did want to talk about Argus Costs because that was one of my picks as a card I was super duper
Yeah,
high
I was
on.
kind of down on it. Have you brewed on it? I haven't seen it once. Did you
No,
did you brew
I
it?
just want to check in on it and say I have not played with this card yet. I
Okay.
own four of them. I pre-ordered it. They're sitting on my
All right.
desk. I have not
Okay.
given up on this card. I still believe in it. I have not found the right
Okay.
home or been motivated to go about finding the right home, but I'm not willing to write it off even though, the price has tanked to 63 cents and no one's playing it. I'm not willing to admit that I was wrong about it. I just haven't broken it yet. And I can say that because I haven't tried to break it yet. And maybe that says something about the card in and of itself. But
Yeah, we were going through this list, and I just remembered our podcast. Like we had a pretty decent debate about it, and I was like, it might be decent, but I don't know what deck it goes in. And we've had Boros Angels, we've had Boros Convoke, but Boros mid range has been.
yeah, so I
I
don't
have
know.
not seen this card. I have not seen it a single time.
No, which I still think it's very good. I'm willing to admit that maybe it's not very good, but I'm also willing to die on the hill that it's better than people seem to have thought it is or realize it
Yeah,
is.
I think you could play it like, but I don't think it's gonna create, its own deck.
All right. So, Outlaws of
Fun,
Thunder
fun, fun.
Junction spoilers have started coming down. We're not going to talk about those now, but as to say, the time of Markov Manor is just about done. Before we go,
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to touch on, kind of retrospectively with this set?
Retrospectively, I mean, I think that we're okay. I think that the broken stuff, like the Slogurk combo and the reenact the crime combo, um, with the we didn't mention this card, but the mythic blue from this
Oh yeah, yeah,
conspiracy
the
unraveler.
conspiracy unraveler.
Yeah,
It's a bad
I
card.
think that yeah, I it can pop off with reenact the crime and breach the multiverse. It's kind of insane, but those kind of like really long drawn out things just happen to not be the best thing you can do. Um, but so I'm just kind of like grateful that they're not, because they would just ruin standard. I mean, when's the last time we had a banning in standard? They've been doing a good job.
Yeah, so I think
Give
it
them some
was
credit.
they banned. I want it's been at least a year, which is good. Because they
Like
did
Meathook
have
when they
they
banned
did
Meathook and
no after
Fable.
that they had to take Fable and Reckoner Bankbuster and
Yeah,
Invoke
but those were
Despair out.
due. Those were due for rotation, right? So it's kind of like a
Yeah, just
yeah.
about.
They just
So
kind of rotated them. They're like, we're actually going to rotate these three cards.
yeah, yeah. So they have been doing a good job. I don't
Yeah,
play a ton of
let's give them some
standard,
credit.
but everyone that I listen to in the Magic space has been talking about standards in a great spot right now.
Yeah, I do
Um,
play a lot of standard, and I've really been enjoying it. I've been playing an Orzhov Planeswalker list where you just run like Shoulder's Edict, a bunch of board wipes, because there's a bajillion now, and they can come in all shapes to fit any situation, and
uh,
then a bunch of like you know your good old couple of each of those Orzhov Planeswalkers. Just keep wiping the board. Just keep value grinding. Very satisfying. Edict takes care of creature lands and the hexproof dragon and the all the other planeswalkers out there, and drop a
yeah.
little to Cassius welcome in there for card advantage. It's been a nice fun jam for me. I will do a small complaint. I don't know what's going on with Arena, but maybe like 1 out of every 10 games I play on Arena on my tablet, my Arena client crashes and just doesn't come back. I don't know why. So when
Watsy, if
you're
you're
yeah,
listening,
please
fix
fix
that.
that. Yeah, please fix that. This is my bug complaint. Please fix your mobile client. But
Yeah.
no, it's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of fun brewing. I did brew. I got, like I mentioned, I got four audience with Tristani's, and I did brew a little bit with it. It's probably just a okay commander card. I don't think it's, but it was fun to brew with. It's like on the edge. Putting all sorts of tokens in. So I've had a really good time with Murders at Karlov's Manor. I would say though that are we sure that this isn't an unset? Like, are we sure that Thunder Junction isn't an unset? Like, they couldn't sell an unset. I think this is Mark Rosewater like taking over the world, but they couldn't sell an unset even if they put Shocklands in them. So now they're trying to just make every set an unset.
Save it for the Thunder Junction podcast. But I will say,
Yeah,
just on the
yeah,
topic of unsets, I am so. I'm an unset believer in theory. I think
yeah,
they're pretty
yeah.
neat. I think the last one stunk for so many reasons that had nothing to do with being an unset, and that Watsy's only takeaway can be like, man, this made us no money, so we have to be done with unsets, which is a shame
Yeah.
because I think there's so many greedy things to point to that they did with that set that made it horrible, that had nothing to do with it being an unset.
Do you think putting stickers on your card is a good
Oh my
idea?
god, I'd even forgotten about the stickers. That's not even what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's all right.
Sorry,
We'll
derailed
shut
us a
it
little
down
bit
there.
there. Derailed us a little bit,
Hey,
but
I didn't expect to talk about unsets in this podcast, but you know what? It's part of the larger landscape, and I'm happy
well,
we're
that's what we're
here.
gonna do from here on out. We're gonna have detectives and cowboy people and Anzrag the Quake Mole. You know, have like
Yeah.
some fun animals here.
Yeah. So next time we talk, we'll be going over spoilers for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So please follow up and stay tuned for that. I'm excited
Yeah,
to talk
new
about
Oko.
that. Personally, I'm kind of already looking past the set because I'm a Bloomborough fanatic. big Redwall kid growing up, so
Yeah,
I just
we
need
were
some
both big Redwall kids.
mouse warriors in my life. But I guess we do have to get through Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which appears to be ridiculous cowboy hat land. So we'll do that first, so stay tuned, and we will talk to you all then. And that does it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please like the video. And please reach out to me with any questions, either in the comments or on Twitter at Monetary Mentor. I look forward to hearing from you, and until then, be kind to yourself and have fun out there.